So far, all the questions that we have seen were questions on arrangement. In this video, we are going to see the difference between arrangement and selection. The essential difference is that in an arrangement, we have specific positions. That is, the positions either have a name for them or they could be described differently, but each position is distinct from the other position. First examples that we did were we formed numbers. So when we were forming a 4-digit number, does the different positions have a different name? There's a tens position, a units position, tens position, which is different from a hundreds position, and so on. So positions have a name. Other way to look at it is, let's say I form the number 4231. If two of them interchange their positions, will I be getting the same number or is it a different number? Here you have a 31, here you have a 13. So this results into a different number. So the same thing could be said as the order is important. For example, 3-1 is different from a 1-3 as a number. Are these constraints valid when we are arranging people in a row? Pretty much. So let's have a look. We said 4 chairs. While the chairs may be very similar in their appearance, but because they are placed in a particular pattern, there is some distinction. For a layman, it might appear that the first and the last, these are identical, both are ends. Not really. If we look at this one, this is on the right end of the arrangement, whereas the other one is on the left end of the arrangement. So I could make a distinction between them. Let's say someone is sitting out over here. How will he describe, in what position? Could I say there is no neighbor to his right and there are 3 neighbors to his left? Whereas if the same person is sitting in the other end, he would have 3 neighbors to his right and no one on his left. So there is the positions could be explained or described differently. And so can the other 2 positions. So not just that these positions are the middle positions, but they are different because I can specify this one as the second from the right end and the other one as third from the right end. Similarly, in terms of neighbor, when someone is sitting in the position, there's 1 neighbor to his right and 2 to his left, whereas in the other position, there'll be 2 to his right and 1 to his left. So there are different enough ways in which we can describe the positions differently. So that is what is important in an arrangement as such. Even the alphabet form that we said, if I am arranging the letters of the word, let's say India, and we saw an arrangement called this, the word is starting with an N. If I just interchange the position, I get a different word. Why do I say this is a different word? Because a word is formed from the relative positions amongst them as such, right? So all questions that we did, whether it's a circular arrangement, linear arrangement, forming words, forming numbers, they all are arrangement question. How is selection different? Selection has no specific position. The order is not important. Then what is selection? Selection is nothing but a collection. And as we denote different collections, let's say a collection is denoted by a set. So I have a collection of A, B and C. Would you say the collection of objects B, A and C, are they different? Since it is a set, the order does not matter in them. So both of them are the same collection of objects or a selection of objects, whichever way you want to frame it. So what we are saying is that the order is not important in a collection. Ask yourself a question, does changing the relative position change the selected objects as such? The only way I can get a different selection is by changing the members out over there and not the order as such. So that is the difference between a selection and a arrangement. We will next take up a few situations and try to differentiate, are they questions on arrangement or are they questions on selection. However, before I start that, I want you to answer it very precisely and correctly. So I'll draw your attention to a thought process which sometimes students mix the two, arrangement and selection. Remember the situation where we had 7 people and there were 4 chairs. In how many ways can the chairs be occupied? Quite a few of us are going to think that this question first involves select which 4. Select 4 who are going to sit in these positions and then arrange. And it's a very common thought and nothing is wrong with the thought process. However, we have solved this question already and we know that this could be done in 7 ways, 6 ways it could be occupied, 5 ways, 4 ways, and we take a product of them. When we do this process and we say that the number of ways in which they can be arranged is 20, 120, 840. This 840 is the number of arrangements. Is this okay? And in doing this process, not only have we arranged, but does the process also let's say handle the fact that which 4 are going to sit in out over there. So when you say select and then arrange, this full thing is called an arrangement as such. So I would ask you to resist from saying first select and arrange and always say such a situation is nothing but an arrangement. Arrangement quite often would require a selection in it. Later in the video we'll also see the link between the two. Right? For example, again, when the first question we started with, we said using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 form a 4-digit number. Almost all of you, we have solved this as an arrangement question. Most of you from your prior knowledge knows that this is a question of an arrangement. So when we do this arrangement, we have only been arranging 4 digits. But in the process of arranging, have we also taken into account every case of which 4 are going to come in there? Pretty much. So it is just a question of arrangement and not selection and then arrangement. So hope that you would identify it clearly as either arrangement or selection and not a mix of them as such, right?